going into Daniel chapter 2. Just a reminder again, the life of Daniel on a graph. And like I said, um, I forgot to look. I will check and see when historically they think he died. But the book of Daniel ends at the second of, in right after Darius and Cyrus are controlling Babylon, which by inference they're also controlling all the provinces, which include Israel and Jerusalem. So you have his birth, you have when he was under Nebuchadnezzar and under evil Merodach for only about 9 months, then under Belshazzar for about 12 years or so. You also have the circles that show the chapters. 1 and 2 are at the beginning. 3 and 4 could have been anywhere. I put it right there before the fall. It could have kind of been anywhere. Then you got 5 and 6 towards the end. Then you got 7 through 12 are prophetic. So it's half and half. It's interesting how, if I was really putting this up, chapter 2 may have happened in the middle of chapter 1 chronologically. We get an overview of Daniel's life. It says that he was there through the reign of Cyrus, so that would include the whole book. But it says here that they were there to be nourished for 3 years. Okay, if they got there around the first or second year of his reign, that's when they got there. Then we have in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. Now that would have been within this tutelage time. Within this time where Daniel would still be learning and still be growing and still being all this stuff. But somewhere within that tutelage, and he could have been, like I said, anywhere in his early teens to his mid-teens years, this happens. And we're going to look at it in a minute. I took this picture from an older Bible of mine. This picture of the metal man. We're going to talk about that. This is one of my best pictures for it. You'll find it all over the internet. You can study this out. It's very interesting and well documented. I won't spend too much time on it, but we want to touch on it. In the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, he started having troubling dreams. He calls forth, the story here is really kind of funny. He calls forth the magicians and astrologers and the soothsayers and all these people who dealt with these arts. Some of them were astrologers, like people who looked at the stars. Some of them were astronomers who looked at the stars. There were astrologers who read the stars. Then you had the soothsayers who looked down into different things like calf liver and all this kind of stuff. The diviners who would go to certain kinds of divination and calling upon evil spirits or whatever. I mean, all of these guys were in play. So he called upon them, and it says even the sorcerers. So those who did sorcery, calling up evil spirits and whatnot. And to show the king the dream. And he goes, I've had a dream. And they said, well, tell us the dream. We'll tell the interpretation. And he goes, no. I don't remember the dream. I want you to tell me the dream and the interpretation. They're like, whoa. And if you don't do this, I will cut you in pieces and make your house into a dunghill. I'm going to destroy your family. I'm going to kill you and make your houses dunghills. If you don't tell me the dream and the interpretation. And they started going crazy. Nobody can do this. Nobody can tell you the dream and the interpretation of the dream. They start getting worried and said, let the king tell his servants the dream and we'll show. And he goes, no, I know you guys. You'll go off and you'll prepare lying words and corrupt words to speak before me till the time be changed. So you're going to go off, make up your little stories together, come back and tell me what you think it means. And the Chaldeans told truthfully, there is not a man on the earth that can show a king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, ruler that asks these things of any magicians. You're going beyond the bounds, is what they're saying. Nobody can ask this. No king should ask this. And it's a rare thing that the king requires. And the king gets mad at them now. When they do this pushback, he goes, tell you what. He caused a decree, went forth to slay the wise men. So they kind of pushed his button and he pushed back. I'm just going to slay you guys. You're useless. So this went on, and they sought Daniel and Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, these wise men from Judah. And he brings them in, and they talked to Daniel. Daniel went in and desired of the king, and he went before them, and that he would show the king the interpretation. He went to his house and made these things known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, that they should desire mercies of God in heaven concerning the secret, and Daniel and his fellows would not perish with the rest of the wise men. So he goes into the king and said, blessed be the name of God forever. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives knowledge and wisdom to them that know understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. And I thank and praise the God of my fathers. He's pointing it out. It's not just some Unitarianistic God, not just some deistic God. The God of my fathers. So I'm going to turn to the God of my fathers, and he'll tell you this matter. And it's interesting how he must have had such a good rapport with Nebuchadnezzar that Nebuchadnezzar says, okay. Now, why didn't he think Daniel would go off and make up some sort of lie or make something about it? Why was he just believing in the character of Daniel here? So he goes, and Daniel went to Aronach that the king had assigned to destroy the wise men. And he goes to this guy with a sword and says, destroy not the wise men of Babylon. He went and said to them, destroy not the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king. So he goes in and talks to the king. And the king says, okay. And there is a God in heaven that reveals secrets and maketh known to Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Now, interesting, we're dealing with something in the latter days. See, that's why it didn't make sense to him, was that this would be something that would happen in the latter days. So, we have him doing this. As of thee, O king, thy thoughts came into my mind upon my bed, what should come to pass, therefore, and then he reveals secrets, making known to thee what shall come. He talks about where the secrets came from. So he petitions God. God tells him what the dream is. And he goes, O king, thou saw a great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before you, and as the form was terrible. It had the image, the man's head was fine gold, his breast and arms were silver. His belly was brass, his legs were iron, his feet were iron mixed with clay. And you saw that a stone cut out without hands smote the image, and broke it in pieces, and then ground it into dust, like on the threshing floor, and the wind carried away. And no place was found of them, and the stone smote the image, and became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. That's the dream. Now he's going to tell him the interpretation of the dream. Now here's the interpretation. I'm going to show you this dream that he had. Oops, I'm upside down. There you go. Of this giant figure that had a head of gold, and then silver, and then bronze, then iron, and at the bottom the toes have iron mixed with clay. So this was what he had. Now, what we see is that he starts telling him the interpretation. He goes, you're the king, you're the head, and your kingdom is the one of gold. After you will come one that's of silver. It's going to be not as good as yours, but it will be good. After that, we're going to have one that goes into bronze. And he says that after thee will come a third kingdom of brass that will rule over the earth. Then a fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, therefore as iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things. And when you saw the feet and toes, part of the potter's clay, that were part iron, and the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of iron, insomuch it's mixed with miry clay. Now this isn't clay. It's miry clay, and miry clay is horrible clay. This is the clay that you would find if you found like a pit of dead animals that began mixing with the clay. That it's filthy clay, it's dirty clay, it's not good for soil, it's not good for anything. It doesn't set well because it has the excrement, it has the bones, it has the mire. That's what mire is. Mire is dead things. That's why we're talking about a mire. We're talking about these miry pits where animals and people would fall in and get trapped and they die. You know, that's what mire is. Mire is death. So you've got this mixing going on. And when you saw iron mixed with clay, and they mingle together with the seeds of men, but will not cleave one to another, even as iron does not mix with clay. So you take this clay and try to grind it up with iron, it will not mix together. You can mix certain metals together, but you can't mix iron and clay. No matter how you melt it down, they will not connect. And when you saw iron mixed with miry clay, and they would not mingle together, and in those days, and in the days of these kings, shall God of heaven set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, and that kingdom shall be left to other people, but it shall break into pieces, consume all the kingdoms, and will stand forever. Now, what kingdom is that? We already realized that with Ezekiel. the coming kingdom of the servant David, the coming kingdom of this Messiah. And so much as you saw the stone that cut out of the mountain without hands, man didn't make this kingdom, this one that's coming, and it broke in pieces the iron and the brass and the clay and the silver and the gold, and the great God has made known to the king what shall happen thereabout. And Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face and worshipped Daniel and commanded that he should make oblations to him. But the king said to Daniel, "Of truth, your God is a God of gods, and is a Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets." And the king made Daniel a great man and gave him great gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief of the governors among all the wise men. He lifted him up to the top, second to him. That's how much we revered this. He requested that the king that he should take Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah and bring them up, and they sat at the gate of the king. Now, interesting, remember the gate. We talked about the gate several times, that when people wanted to see the king, remember, unfortunately, Haman will do this. He will go out and sit at the gate of the king. You'd have to see that prince to go see the king. So you had this prince-king relationship going on. Haman was a bad one, but Daniel would be a good one. You'd have to see him before you went to the king. And he was ruling over everybody except for the king. Now, when did that happen before? Remember Pharaoh? Remember Joseph at the end of the book of Genesis? Same thing happened before. So here we have this happening again. So we have this metal man. Now, many people believe that this picture here, you have the Babylonians, you have the Grecians, they are the silver. You have you have the Medo-Persians and the Greeks. Sorry, you have Babylonians, Medo-Persians, the Greeks. This would have been the Rome, Eastern and Western Rome, and even going through the Middle Ages where Rome splits and becomes two legs. It becomes the Latin Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church. This falls, and this is the latter days, iron mixed with clay. And until recently, people have thought, well, miry clay, iron, doesn't make a sense. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you look at some of the transhumanism and all of the stuff that's going on now, trying to mix biology with technology, but you really cannot get the two to really cohese. Could it be? There's a lot of speculation on what the toes mean. I'm going to leave that open for us to see. It'll be something that maybe we see. But again, we're looking at the lion was Babylon, then Medo-Persian, Greece, and Rome. It says they're right beside it, if you want to look at this chart right over here. And then you have all of this, gives you, again, more information about how that works. Very interesting stuff. This stuff you can just delve into. There's all kinds of books. There's all kinds of videos. And enjoy it. God is revealing to us. Remember how he revealed hope in Ezekiel 40 through 48. Well, now he's revealing hope to us. That this Gentile world that's trying to run the show by itself won't last forever. There'll be this giant mountain who comes in, destroys the Gentile kingdom of the earth, and sets up the rule of Messiah. And then all of the stuff that talked about in Ezekiel and that stuff that's going on, especially in 40 through 48, is going to happen. So this is wonderful stuff to give us Gentiles hope. Those that us believe in Messiah, those that us believe in Jesus. So it's very hopeful. This is an exciting book. Remember, 3 and 4 will move together. As Nebuchadnezzar, he kind of has this, we have the fiery furnace, then he goes he becomes basically not a werewolf, but he's more like a werecow. One of my kids said that. He started eating grain, and he started growing his hair long and having talons like eagles. We'll go into that. 5 and 6 are about Belshazzar. 5's about the writing on the wall. 6 is about the lion's den. Then 7 through 12 is all the prophecy. So we're going to go through this slowly, show it for what it is, look at it with this evidentiary method. But I'm really enjoying this, and I hope you do too. Thank you.